FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
Chris Arps in the studio. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, man. I had a great weekend. I drove down here with the top down, let the wind blow through my hair.
What hair?
It was fantastic.
It's sitting television. They can't see you, so they got to check you out online.
You know a strange thing? Every time that I come into this building,
Yes.
I have to use the restroom.
Huh?
The only other time that happens is when I'm in a bookstore or a library. I automatically have to go to the restroom.
It's when you're using your brain.
Is that it? I don't know.
It's putting
it's
pressure
automatic.
on. It puts the pressure on you. That's what it is.
I'll take that.
So I have to. You just heard what Hillary Clinton said about why Donald Trump is not a good businessman. I know you're not a Trump fan,
Right?
But I'm looking at the Washington Post has a great article in there today on how much money the Clintons have made in speaking fees since he left office and since she left office. This doesn't even include the book sales and all that other stuff.
Right.
They called it the massive scale of the Clinton speech-making industry. These people have made millions, like what is it, 50, 125 million? I mean, the numbers are stunning.
They're worth like $50 or $60 million off of making speeches. That blew my mind when I first heard about it. You can amass that type of money just making speeches. What, $200,000 to Goldman Sachs?
Yeah.
$250,000? Wow.
Per speech.
Per speech.
And she won't and she won't even release any of the transcripts of those speeches to any of the big banks. That's what's driving Bernie Sanders mad, because if he knows if he could get his hand on some of those transcripts, he could blow her out of the water, because she's in there sucking up to these people who are paying her $200,000 a speech.
Right. And personally, I don't think it's so much, there may be some things that, she was sucking up. I think what she's more worried about is if she does release those transcripts, that Sanders campaign, the Republicans can just go through that and just pick through all kind of stuff, and the rest of the campaign, all she'll be doing is just answering questions about that.
There is a visceral anger on the part of these Bernie Sanders supporters. I would say that it borders on hatred, and if this carries on much longer, like to the campaign, there's going to be a portion of Bernie Sanders supporters who simply will not vote. They're going to be like the Never Trumpers. They're just going to not vote instead of voting for Hillary Clinton because they dislike her so much. And now Bernie's tied her to big business.
Yeah,
she sunk.
And I said that, 6 or 7 months ago, that the Democrats have to be careful that they don't have a Chicago 1968 because Bernie Sanders supporters are diehard. They do believe in him. And I think now that we're coming down to the end of the primary process, they are starting to figure out that their system is rigged with these superdelegates. I heard something over the weekend when I was driving to Pittsburgh that I didn't know this, and I think it was on one of the Sunday shows that he said this, that Hillary Clinton started out with a 400 superdelegate advantage even before anybody else got in the race. These people had already pledged to her. So I think that is starting to resonate with some of Bernie's people, that the system is rigged, and they're angry. Their system.
Well, I don't blame them. If you go to this Washington Post article, and we'll get a link to it up on the website there, Liz, for the Washington Post. They have a running, when you get down to the middle of the article, this is one of the most interactive pieces I've read in a long time. They have a running total. Right? See that number on there? And it says, if you'd been Bill Clinton giving an hour-long speech to the National Association of Manufacturers in March of last year, instead of being you reading this article, you would have already earned $83,197.99. So in the minute and a half it takes you to get to that point in the article, you would have already earned $85,000.
Yeah, and I think most people don't begrudge Hillary and Bill Clinton making money off of their service as president and Secretary of State. I don't think most people have a problem with that. I think it's that they won't disclose what was in these speeches, and people are wondering, is there a quid pro quo? Are you giving speeches in front of Goldman Sachs so they can expect something from you once you get in the office? That's where the real questions, I think, arises.
Maybe, but I also think there's a little bit of hypocrisy on their part that they're multi-millionaires, but they want to convince you that they're fighting for the people, and then they who have not, while they've earned the money legitimately by giving a speech that somebody was clearly willing to pay them $150, $250, in one case $500,000 for one speech. They've earned that money legitimately because somebody was willing to give it to them. But to turn around and suggest that a businessman like Trump, who's in the real estate business, didn't earn his money legitimately, that is the hypocrisy that nobody's going to buy into.
But that is a good line, though. How can you be on
How
a casino?
Can you own a casino and not make money?
And it's not original.
How can anybody lose money running a casino, really?
And the Republicans used that against Donald during the primary, so that's not exactly an original thought.
Well, I know. Hey, I walked away from Hollywood with a little bit of money the other night. I felt good about that.
Hollywood Casino?
Yeah.
What'd you play?
A little Texas Hold'em.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That's too technical for me, man. I'm slot machines only.
I'm just saying, you know, sometimes the house loses, not often.
Well, they got to keep you coming back.
Did you see that Bill Cosby is going to have to stand trial in this sexual assault case from 2005? Now, his problem was that he admitted to portions of this. A judge reviewed his interviews and has now decided that he admitted to enough that he's going to have to stand trial in this sex assault case.
Yeah. And I think most of this persecution of Bill Cosby stems from a few years ago when he was basically calling out the black community, about our children, about our standards and everything. And I think that has so enraged the civil rights industry and some people that is what started some of this. And I tell you my proof for that. One of the actresses, or model, I think it was Beverly Johnson, that accused him of raping her. She said that at first, when she heard all this stuff, she was going to stay silent. She wasn't going to say anything about it. She was just going to suffer. But she said, after everything that happened in Ferguson, where black men and black boys are being murdered and killed, that she couldn't stand by and let Bill Cosby say the things that he's saying about black people while he is doing these things to her and to other women. So I think that was kind of let the cat out of the bag. What the thinking is a lot of people, they're persecuting him because of the things that he said years ago. Mm-hmm. I really do believe that.
I was asking the question earlier, and I've got a few people who've called in here on the fact that, and I know you're not a Trump guy, but apparently at some point in the 90s, Trump patted Bill on the back and told him that it was okay. All that stuff was just BS, all those allegations against him. And now he's using it to his advantage in the campaign. This is what his attorney had to say about it, Chris.
All he's doing is he's giving the facts.
No.
He's giving the facts.
He knew the facts then in the 90s when this was all happening, and he said
it's all
BS.
He was a private citizen who was friendly with the Clintons, and he was trying to protect a friend. All right? Now it's a different game.
I'd say. Yeah. A little bit of higher stakes game now.
Exactly. And I'm really still trying to figure out the Trump strategy of bringing up all of this stuff from the 90s. I'm wondering, is this something that's just basically trying to gin up the Republican base and get the turnout out?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, are people really going to care about stuff that happened 25 years ago? The millennials, who are the top demographic now, who weren't even alive, are they really going to care about that type of stuff?
Maybe not, but bear in mind that he's suffering in the women category. So all these millennials who don't know who to vote for, if they find out how Hillary Clinton enabled him through all that and called the ladies making the accusations bimbos and a bimbo eruption and trailer trash, and now she turns around and acts like she's a big feminist. Yep. Are you kidding me? Yep. I mean, if people need to know who they're supporting, if that's who they're going to vote for. That's why I think he's doing it, and that's why I think it's going to be effective. One of those millennials called in here earlier and said, I had no idea. I didn't know who Juanita Broderick was. I'd never heard of that name before. Right. So he's educating people, if nothing else.
Yeah, it's like I said. I don't know if the people nowadays are going to be worried about that. I said something the other day that I wouldn't be surprised that if this campaign gets so nasty between the two people that people just tune out and just say, I don't care who wins, because it's just so dirty and so nasty, and this just confirms what I think about politics already. I'm tuning out and staying home.
Well, that's because you and I are smart. And a long time ago, we learned two important lessons. You never accept a cigar from Bill Clinton or a mixed drink from Bill Cosby.
That's pretty good advice.
I'm telling you, if you follow those two rules your whole life, you're going to be okay, right?
I'll remember that.
Yeah,
That's
thank
good.
you very much. And you and I'll go have a cigar and a drink away from those two, and we'll be all right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Chris Arps, thank you, my friend. Follow Chris on Twitter at @CArps, @Carps on Twitter.
It's like the fish.